Well, here it is, folks. The 2007 Grand Marquis. The shifter lever broke off. As stated in the last video, broke off from the transmission now. Some of the videos, people say something about the shifter lever being loose and 2 bolts inside the column here. Well, the newer model doesn't appear to have that same type of setup, so you don't got to worry about that. That's not causing any problems for me or making my shift indicator not work right. But anyways, so here's the shift lever cable. Here's where the cable goes on. It's the bushing, new cable, everything, whatever. So it goes on right here. You could just push that on, or you can take a plastic trim tool, screwdriver or anything in here. If you need to get the old one off, you just stick it under there and pop it off. So here it goes. This is where it's routed. A lot of people don't show this. Here it is under here. Plastic clip. Now you can get these plastic clips right at the hardware store. I mean the parts store. It is a help part number. Let's see if I can get you guys the actual information. But anyways, they have them at O'Reilly and a couple others. It says it's part number, the transmission shift cable clip. It's part number 14913. Yeah, so if you need a couple of these to replace, because they probably will break or they'll be brittle, you don't really want to use the old ones if you can help it. It's a help Dorman part number right here. Yep. Right at your local parts store. Transmission shift cable retainer. So you get that in. You got that cable in here. Then you go under here. Now you want to be careful. On the newer models, they have a parking brake safety release, and I broke it off. Broke it off of its canister, that white hose there, when I was pulling the cable through. Okay, so anyways, here's where the other thing goes. There's the cable right there. Okay, here's the black clip. Okay, that makes it go in. You want to make it go like this, right here, up into there. You want it to go like this, right under. You want it to go under the steering shafts, not below it. You know, behind it. Anyways, behind the steering shaft. So here you go. There's the cable. There's where it's running. It's running all the way over here. Got it running into here, the brand new cable. You can see it. And I got it going into here, into this grommet. Now, you want to make sure that grommet's pushed in good and locked in. Because if you don't make sure this is pushed in good, then when wintertime comes, you're going to have cold drafts getting in. Or if it's extremely hot out, you're going to have heat. So you don't want that. So lock that sucker in. Push it in. If it ain't in good, you can always go under there and screw around with it after. If it seems like it isn't in and air's coming through. But yeah, that will help save you in the summer or in the winter. Okay, so now after you do that, you want to make sure your lever is in park. Like I got it right here. Lever's in park. Okay. Now that everything's all hooked up underneath the dash, I don't know if you saw all that, but there's also a, well, this goes here. It goes over here, up and around into here. Okay. Now it might be hard for you to see that in here. I'm trying to show you the best that I can. Okay, there's a tack weld spot right here. See? Right underneath the column here. Right next to where these vacuum lines go, and up above it is where you want your other clip to go to hold this cable on. pretty much right above the tack weld, there's a hole here. And you lock it right on. Then it feeds itself through here and over into here. See? Goes right through here. Over by the tack weld and on. Now you got that all secure. Now you should be able to pull the old cable right out to the front of the car here, right out the driver's side door when you're removing it. And you should be able to feed it in through underneath the hood, back in. And if you're good enough, you might get the bushing, the rubber collar here, to lock itself right in and go all the way in. But it's not really a big deal. So now that you got everything in park, when you're under here and you're going to reattach the cable, you're going to want to make sure that the transmission linkage is shifted into park. Then you're going to put the cable on. Now you're going to take this cable over here. Okay. Going to take this cable and you're going to make sure it's all the way tight. You're going to want to tighten it first. And you're going to want to tighten the bolt down. Get it all the way up here by the beginning of it. Tighten that bolt down. And then you're going to want to try your gears. You're going to want to move the selector. You put on the brake if you have to. And move through all the gears. And make sure that it's engaging in all the gears. And once you do that, you could probably confidently start the vehicle up and try running it through gears. As long as you got your wheels chalked and everything else, you probably won't have the vehicle moving around too much, but you want to just be able to check everything. So you run it through all of its gears, and you see where the shift selector is underneath the hood. I mean, underneath the, in the dash, in the column. You see where that orange mark's going. And make sure it's going through all the gears. And if it's stopping at first or second or whatever, then you more than likely have to adjust this cable. But you want to start out with it. You want to get it like hand tight, decently, and you want it to be right here and you want to test it. And if it's not quite right, you can always move it a little bit, then tighten it down. You don't want to reef it right on right away and assume it's going to work. And also, if you don't have the cable adjusted right, you could have a problem where the neutral safety switch isn't working and your car's, it won't start because the neutral safety's not engaging properly. So then in that case, you might have to wheel your shifter lever before you start the vehicle, and then it will crank over. Some people won't really care about that. Some people will. Or you might have the problem where it's where something's so far worn out and not adjusted that you got to put your shift indicator into neutral and then start the vehicle. But by that time, eventually it will get worse, the problem, and you won't be able to start it at all. So you don't really want to let it get to where you got to put your vehicle in neutral to start it. Don't listen to what people are telling you. It's only going to get worse from there. You're better off to just fix it and adjust the problem. You might need a new neutral safety switch. Or maybe it isn't adjusted properly if you have one under here. Maybe the newer models have a different style. I don't know. It looks like it's all there from what I can see. It looks like the linkage was a tiny bit loose, but it's mostly all there still, and this was my problem. I might have wore out the neutral safety switch, but I'm going to find out when I hook this cable up, when I try to start the vehicle. And if it doesn't want to start, like it was doing once in a while before, then I'll investigate that problem. Maybe I got a bad bushing or something on the linkage. But for now, we're going to just route this cable and hook it up. I'm waiting for some paint to dry, because I sprayed it on some rusty bracketry under here. And yeah, we're going to go from there. Hopefully it'll be fired up in a half an hour. All in all, this job should take about 40 minutes with a skilled mechanic. Maybe on a lift a little less, who knows? I mean, if you're spending 3 or 4 hours on this, that's just crazy. So basically just track down the clips that I told you and you should be good to go. So yeah, thanks for checking it out. Hopefully something here helped you. Oh, actually, yeah. To remove the steering column casing around the steering column, you need 5.5 millimeter socket to get that off. You don't really need a lot of tools other than that plastic door trim puller that I showed you. You can use that to get all these clips off and get the cable off. And on this bolt, on the linkage, the shift linkage to get the cable off, all I did was soak it in penetrating oil for about 15 minutes, and then I came out with my air gun and I zipped it right off. Zip. Now, one thing you want to be mindful of, you don't want to reinstall the cable and use an air gun on it. That's no. You'll probably damage the bolt, you'll probably crack the stud, you'll probably strip the nut. I mean, it's just too much for this. You don't need that, so keep that in mind. Use a regular ratchet, and it's an 18 millimeter socket that you need to get that off. Some people said they needed heat and torches and this and that. I didn't really need that. Just soak it in penetrating oil, maybe an hour or two, if you really want to give it time. And then you just hit it with the air gun lightly and it will come right off.